And so since they didn't want to do it, I'm going to fire you guys. And the reason I wanted to go into the background with that particular case is a lot of times we just read this stuff for the shock value, but I want you to pay attention to who she did this to. Who was Mr. Lawrence? Mr. Lawrence took this chick under his wing and she burned him. He introduced her to the previous town supervisor to help elevate her into her political aspirations. And she burned him. This guy had 22 years in that position, working for that city, being a part of that community, and she burned him. See, all the times I thought she was doing this stuff, they're just faceless people in the community. I don't know them. They're beneath me. She knew this guy. At one point, this was probably Uncle Larry, Uncle Lawrence. She didn't give a dizzle. This is who these people are up under. This is why these people quasi-snap when they get their 3 minutes. Mr. Lee, I feel you. Lady that always wear the "you going to jail" shirt, I feel you. Lady that stay on her about the wigs, I feel you. My live 2 days ago, I had just went over a new lawsuit that came from a former employee that pretty much was claiming retaliation. And again, like I say, the Dalton Politics Facebook page, they are on it because day before yesterday, I saw a court file and I was like, I already know about this. And then I looked at it more carefully and it was from the 18th, which is 3 days ago now. But at the time, it was like a day ago. And the one I was looking at was from the 14th. That was from a Mr. Thrash. So within a week's period, she had 2 of these lawsuits drop. So let's take a look at, I want to take a look at the second lawsuit of the week from filed by a former employee. And there's some details in it that I want to highlight. And then we're going to go on to the next scam that she also got accused of this week that was uncovered, where they allegedly have been mishandling the pension funds for the freaking firefighters. Like there's no ends and no bounds to where this lady will reach her little corrupt tentacles and start fleecing and robbing for the good people. And that's why I'm glad they come out in force. And I'm glad when they get their 3 minutes, they give her some, because these people have been dealing with this for over a year. All of us YouTubers sitting on here like this is our favorite show that we've been watching for the last 90 days, maybe 4 or 5 months. Okay, that is what it is. For these people, it's their lives. It's where they live. It's their community. And I'm glad they're showing up and they're being involved. But forget me. Let's get on to this this latest, as of a couple of days ago, a lawsuit filed against Ms. Henyard and the administration. Let me share the screen right quick, because I'm on my lunch break. Oh man, let's get in here. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Hold on, I appreciate y'all stopping by. I really do. If you are also on your lunch break, I appreciate you sharing a little bit of time with your boy. Let me make myself small, see if I can make this bigger. Yes. And appreciate you fine people. Thanks for stopping by. Let me know what you guys are up to. You taking in some lunch? What's happening? But while y'all let me know what's going on with you, I'm going to go ahead and get on into this to this lawsuit. So like I said, this was filed 3 days ago. Hot off the press. And this is for a Mr. Larry Lawrence. Like I was saying, the person I did a couple of days ago is a Mr. Thrash. And I am going to drop down here to the statement of facts because there's some information in here I want to make sure everybody knows about. And then then when we get into the 20s, line 20 or whatever, it's going to get into the actual meat of what the lawsuit is about. So I just want to cover that, and I'm going to highlight some stuff in it. And then we're going to go on to the freaking firefighter pension thing. So let's check it out. Here on June 11th, 2001, Mr. Lawrence was hired by the Thornton Township. All right. In 2003, Mr. Lawrence assumed the position of youth program manager in the township's youth and family services department, YFSD. All right. Dr. Jerry Weems was the director and department head of YFSD. Lord, I hope I don't say YSL by accident, because I've been watching my man Jason Dear Woke Christian and his coverage of the YSL case. So I'm sure I'm gonna say it by accident. All right. Mr. Lawrence duties included obtaining permits for picnic, finding locations for after-school programs, registering and recruiting kids for summer enrichment programs. He did not have the authority to hire and fire Thornton Township employees. I think that's important. In or near 2008, Miss Henyard. 2008, Miss Henyard, this is one of the things I wanted to make sure you guys saw, was hired as a seasonal instructor in the summer enrichment program. Mr. Lawrence mentored Miss Henyard in his role as youth program manager. In or near 2012, Ms. Henyard expressed to Mr. Lawrence a desire to get involved in politics in the village of Dalton. Mr. Lawrence introduced Ms. Henyard to the former township supervisor, Frank Zaccarilli. I'm Ron Burgundy. Mr. Zaccarilli was very active in supporting South suburban political candidates. All right, he was active in that. Mr. Lawrence even suggested that Mr. Zaccarilli, I'm Ron Burgundy, that he include Ms. Henyard on a slate of candidates running in 2013. Why do I bring this up? Mr. Lawrence mentored Ms. Henyard, now Mayor Henyard, now the super mayor. He mentored this lady. And we know, and let's see what happens next. He mentored in a youth program, introduced her to the former supervisor, since she expressed having interest, right? He does these things, and we know what goes on afterwards. She becomes the mayor of Dalton. She gets appointed as supervisor of the Thornton Township. But let's get back into the thingy here. All right. Get back into the case. Just want to make sure you guys understand that. Let's fast forward. February. Yeah, let's do that. In February 2021, Ms. Henyard was elected mayor of the village of Dalton and assumed office in May 2021. On March 3rd, 2022, Ms. Henyard was appointed by the trustees a township supervisor, which is the chief executive of the township. As Thornton Township Supervisor, Ms. Henyard was Mr. Lawrence's superior and possessed final policy-making authority with respect to hiring and firing township employees. So, classic case of the student has now become the teacher. And for the former teacher, usually that's a very proud moment. You like to see that your influence had a positive result on somebody. So Mr. Lawrence should be just swelling with pride right now, which I'm probably sure he was at that time. But let's see what happened after that. All right. Shortly after she was appointed, Ms. Henyard appointed and employed Keith Freeman. Everybody knows Mr. Freeman. That's her G Money to her to her Nino Brown, New Jack. Very appropriate. That is Chicago, all that. Anyway, Mr. Freeman as the municipality manager of the township. As the municipality manager, thanks for putting those words together like that. Mr. Freeman was Mr. Lawrence's supervisor and possessed final policy-making authority in respect to hiring and firing township employees. Mr. Freeman also served as the village administrator for the village of Dalton and is Ms. Henyard's closest, most trusted ally. Like I said, G Money. Funny thing is, they said had those two positions, one in Thornton, one in Dalton. That's what has him in trouble because he only claimed one of those jobs for his bankruptcy case. And now he's got his own fraud stuff with that, which is why I think he's going to flip on her. That's a whole nother video. All right. Line 24. On several occasions throughout the summer of 2023, Ms. Henyard met with Mr. Lawrence and asked him to retain the township's attorney as the attorney for the school board. This is the same thing that was in Thrash's complaint from a couple of days ago. They wanted to get Del Goldo in, which was Freeman's preferred attorney. Mr. Lawrence initially responded, "Why would I do that?" Ms. Henyard replied, "You would be supporting me, and that would show support for me," Ms. Henyard intended. And Mr. Lawrence understood. The request, the request to indicate, what? The request to indicate request for political support. Ms. Henyard suggests that the same to Mr. Lawrence several more times during the summer. On or near September 21st in 2023, Mr. Freeman called Mr. Lawrence and invited him to appear on a Zoom call for a meet and greet with the township attorneys. Mr. Lawrence agreed. On or near September 25th of 2023, Mr. Lawrence logged into the Zoom call and saw the school board members Faith Gunther, Peggy Woods, and Bruce Owens were on the call, which would constitute a quorum of the school board members and trigger a procedural requirement of the Open Meetings Act, OMA. All right. Neither Lawrence nor the other school board members present knew in advance who would be on the call. They didn't know all the other members were going to be on the call that was going to initiate a quorum. They didn't know that. Mr. Freeman and the township attorney were also present for the call. Ms. Gunter and Mr. Owens' links were muted by the host in an apparent attempt to circumvent the mandates of the OMA. Prior to the meeting, Ms. Henyard and Mr. Freeman believed 3 of the current school board members would vote in favor of appointing the township attorney Delgado as the attorney for the school board. I don't know why they wanted him for the whatever. They viewed appointing the township attorney as an act of political support and affiliation with Ms. Henyard, and that the vote in favor from Mr. Lawrence would constitute the required majority. During the meeting, Mr. Freeman asked Mr. Lawrence would he vote in favor of retaining the township attorney as to act as attorney for the school board. Mr. Lawrence responded that he would present the issue to the school board to obtain feedback, but he would not vote in favor of retaining the township attorney because he was pleased with the school board's current counsel. The township attorney was visibly upset and left the Zoom call abruptly. Within a few days, Mr. Lawrence and the rest of the school board met in the closed session in part to discuss Ms. Henyard and Mr. Freeman's request to retain the township's attorney. Shortly thereafter, Mr. Lawrence notified Mr. Freeman that the school board was not going to retain the township's attorney, Delgado. All right. So they told him they weren't going to do it. On October 5th, 2023, Mr. Lawrence received an email from the Township Human Resources Department noting that his employment would be terminated after 22 years. On October 6, 2023, Mr. Lawrence was terminated from employment without any legitimate or lawful basis, and without a pre or post termination hearing. You just out of here, bro. No, we ain't talking about nothing. You just out. All right. Mr. Lawrence was terminated by Mr. Freeman and Ms. Henyard in retaliation. Keep hearing this word. For refusing to support Ms. Henyard politically and not associating with Ms. Henyard's Ms. Henyard politically. At or near at the same time, Ms. Henyard terminated Ms. Owens from the position he had held at the Village Township and in retaliation for refusing to support her politically. At or near the same time, Dwayne Thrash, that's the guy from the 14th. That's the guy from a few days ago. So, Ms. Henyard and her cronies seem to have a pattern of this. And for whatever reason, and I know the people on the ground probably know whatever the reason or whatever it is up with this Delgado law firm that they just had to have all over everything. They were already associated with the village of Dalton, but they wanted to bring him in the Thornton Township as well to be the school board attorney when the school board, the people that were on the board, deemed that the current council was fine. And so since they didn't want to do it, I'm going to fire you guys. And the reason I wanted to go into the background with that particular case is A lot of times we just read this stuff for the shock value, but I want you to pay attention to who she did this to. Who was Mr. Lawrence? Mr. Lawrence took this chick under his wing and she burned him. He introduced her to the previous town supervisor to help elevate her into her political aspirations. And she burned him. This guy had 22 years in that position, working for that city, being a part of that community, and she burned him. See, all the times I thought she was doing this stuff, they're just faceless people in the community. I don't know them. They're beneath me. She knew this guy. At one point, this was probably Uncle Larry, Uncle Lawrence. She didn't give a dizzle. This is who these people are up under. This is why these people quasi snap when they get their 3 minutes. Mr. Lee, I feel you. Lady that always wear the "you going to jail" shirt, I feel you. Lady that stay on her about the wigs, I feel you. All right, let's see who else I feel. Firefighters, let's check them out. Or let's check out what's did happen to them or allegedly happening to them, courtesy of Miss Henyard. I'm not gonna keep talking because I'm on my lunch break. Let's go. Let's see what she's doing. Because it's bullshit. It really is, man.